Alright, hello and welcome to Harold Halibut, this very first playthrough of Harold Halibut. Last time we played through Chapter 6, and now we're going to see what's next. The reason that this is going the way it is right now is because, as you may have seen if you watched the end of the last video, it crashed right here. So don't crash again. And I had to replay about 10 minutes worth of game to get back here, which I was not happy about. It was actually about 20 minutes, but I skipped through the dialogue, so it only took about 10. So, anyway. So now here we are in Chapter 7. And, we're going to see what's left. There can't be that much left. We got to be right at the end, I would think. But who knows for sure. I think it's only been about 8 hours that I've played, so there might be another couple hours to go. This might be a long chapter.
Hello, my boy.
Hey, Professor. How are you holding up?
Just fine, just fine. Preparations for the relaunch have gone swimmingly.
Ah, great. So they're nearly done?
Yes, we're really just putting the finishing touches on now.
Wow. Can you believe we're about to try and take off after everything?
I knew we'd figure out a procedure. But I would never have guessed at what it took to get there.
Are you excited to see space again?
So I guess the energy source that we procured
not to say I won't miss this place.
Is what we're using to launch.
Watery charm and plenty of scientific curiosity. But you know, I'm getting old. My real wish is to step foot on real ground.
Yeah.
You kind of did that
it was
in the
nice
cave.
To be outside of the fedora in the cave, but I suppose that's not what you're thinking of.
Indeed. I'd like to see the sky. But enough about me. How are you feeling about leaving Wiu and the Flimmerlim? I know you grew close to it all.
Yeah. I'm gonna miss Wiu. I'll miss it all. But this is our path, right?
I think so, my boy. You'll always cherish the time you had with them. But don't you want to continue the mission? Get back to finding a real home?
Yeah, it makes sense, I suppose. Do you think we will?
I'm not sure. But what do we stand to lose?
True. True.
Have you said goodbye to Wiu and the Flimmerlim yet?
Not really, no.
Well, no point putting it off. Saying goodbye only gets harder the longer you leave it. And so send them all my regards.
Yeah, I know. I know.
And Harold?
Yeah?
You'll miss Wiu, but over time, it does get easier. You'll be busy once we're back on course. It'll feel like a whole different life.
I know. I know.
Say goodbye to Wiu. In the cave. Okay. It's been a while since we've just been in the ship, milling about. We're not going to do anything else. We're just going to go straight to the cave, straight to our main objective. I'm done with this game. It's not bad, but it's too long for what it is. And I'm looking forward to playing a real video game again. Speaking of which, Tales of Kinzera Zhao comes out tomorrow. That's what we're probably going to play next. Unless I decide I want to squeak in a cheeky retro game, like I think maybe Kirby's Pinball Course, or there was a Pinball Land game. Kirby's Pinball Land. Or an old Ninja Gaiden game or something that only takes like an hour and a half to beat. It's going to depend on how much time I have later, but because it doesn't come out tomorrow until 11 a.m., which is about 24 hours away.
You're welcome.
And I think we're probably about to beat this. So we might have a retro game, and then we'll have Tales of Kinzera Zhao. I'm excited about that. And then right after that, another Crab's Treasure. Very excited about that. That's my probably most anticipated. And then that'll take us into May. And I think after that, we're going to play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Oh, this is the wrong way. Well, Not necessarily, I guess. We should be looking for Wii U. Did I just walk right by her? I may have. She might be in her home. I believe her home was up this way. Wii U! Hello? Is this right? This may not be right. This might be the way back out to the original. Fuck, it is. Where's Wii U's house? Okay. I thought it was up there. Could be around this way. Yep, there she is. Or they, sorry. There they are.
Wii U.
Hey, Howell. How's Fedora doing?
Yeah, nearly there.
Are you excited?
I mean, it is exciting, but it's gonna be so hard leaving you behind. And this place, and just...
Why don't you come with us?
Yeah, maybe we'll find a new home out there, but also, maybe not. At least not in my lifetime. You know?
I don't know. You will or you won't, but at least you will have the chance. And of course, I will miss you. We have true Simbo. We all will. But we're just happy we could help with the energy and everything.
Yes, we couldn't have done it without you all. And I couldn't have done it without you, Wii U.
Wii U was talking about wanting to exploring.
If you hadn't helped me get better. Everything has changed since knowing you.
Why wouldn't she want to come? Or why wouldn't they want to come with us?
Now. Maybe I'll go exploring a new part of the ocean.
Can you believe how lucky we were to even meet?
I always thought this luck you all have is a very strange thing. You do a thing, or you don't.
But what if a thing happens to you that has nothing to do with your own actions?
I don't understand. Life is like a tide, you know? It's not always obvious where a tide comes from, or is going, or how it connects to other tides. But if you are you, you go with the tide, or you go against it. Sometimes it doesn't matter if you try not to go with it. Sometimes it does.
Wii U, the Fedora is nearly ready to launch. This is going to be the last time we see each other.
I know, Howell.
I don't know what to say.
It's okay. Remember, Simba. We'll always have it.
Thanks, Wii U. We will.
Hope you have good tides.
And you, Wii U. And you.
Can I move? Oh, only in slow motion. Great. And I can't access the menu. This should have been a movie. If this was a movie, I think I'd probably really like it. the art style would have been a lot less remarkable if it was a movie. This kind of art style has been done in movies a million times. It's never really been done exactly in this way in a video game before, so that is something. But, I think there's some ways they could have made it better, you know. The story was okay, the writing was good, you know, the story came together in a well, we'll talk about this in a minute. What am I doing? We'll talk about it in a minute. Once the credits roll, we'll talk about it. I like the song.
Just couldn't help myself falling in love with you.
Is this like...
What could I say? Oh, if I
Sounds like, oh, not Richard Roundtree. What's the guy's name?
'cause when you ran away, I knew just what you think.
Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving.
You just didn't love me like I do, like I love you.
The song's... The sequence feels like something out of a Quentin Tarantino film. The slow motion walking with the
You can't hear a thing.
classic R&B song.
Time moves slow.
Everything, all the sound effects gone. It's very Tarantino. It's very Jackie Brown.
Time moves slow when you wait by the phone. And time moves slow when you're all alone. To run away is easy. It's the leaving that's hard. Running away is easy. Running away is easy. It's the living that's hard. And loving you was easy. It was you leaving that's scarred. 'Cause when you're so alone, time moves
I don't see her. Where is she? What? What's wrong? Oh, are you gonna go get her? After all that walking, huh?
Wii U.
Powell, shouldn't you be back on the ship? You don't want to miss it taking off.
Yes, I do.
Oh, you mean
I want to stay. I know it sounds crazy, and I'll be the only human here, but
no? It's not crazy. It's just you. I would love it. But are you really sure? Won't you miss everyone else more than you want to stay here?
I'm sure. I've always gone with the tide, but now I want to break out of it. Choose a tide for myself. Not the one that leads up into cold, empty space. It's the first time I've ever really been sure of anything.
I believe you. You found your blugalagalugul.
Yeah. Luga Simbo.
Blugalagalugul Simbo.
Okay, I did not see that coming.
Hey, Professor, there's something I need.
Ah, Harold, how did it go?
Well, fine, but
Great. We don't have much time. I could do with some help sorting the final preparations.
Jeanne, I'm not coming.
Okay. It's only natural you're emotional. I suppose I can finish things up by myself.
No, Professor, I'm staying with Wiyu.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Can you understand?
Harold, I've grown terribly fond of you. But if I've learned anything about you, it's that you always defy expectations one way or another.
So, you're not angry?
Angry? Dear boy, I'm delighted. I will miss you like I miss my left hand. But if you finally found something you feel strongly enough to shout Jeanne at me, then I'm happy for you.
Thank you. I'm gonna miss you too, Moreau. You've always been there for me. I wouldn't be making this decision if it wasn't for you. In a nice way, I mean.
I know what you mean. Have you thought it all through? Do you need any help with the, practicalities?
Not really, but what is there? I'll just take a few of my
Well,
things.
food and
The
water.
Fluminense have all the materials I'll need there. I'll get settled in no time, I'm sure.
Well, I guess this is goodbye.
Yeah. Guess it is.
Be safe, Harold. Wish us luck.
I'll do one better. I'll wish you good tides.
Very funny.
I almost feel like that could be it. It's not Slippy, is it? I was about to say, don't be fucking around anymore, Slippy. Looks like it's working. Oh, look at that. Oh no. Oh, I thought it wasn't going to work for a second. That's funny. Oh, that definitely did work. Got some serious thrust on that thing. So where are you going? I guess to their original... Are they going back to Earth? There was all that stuff about how Earth ended up being okay. And for all the bitching I've been doing, the ending is pretty good. The way that they chose to end it. I didn't see it coming, and I like it. I like the ending. Story is good. We'll talk about it in a second. This has got to be it, right? What? Oh, it's Buddy. Okay. Sure. The guy I never spoke to once is the final thing we see in the game. Good call. Did we do it? Is that it? Title card, baby! Let's go! We did it. Alright. First things first. The bottom center of the screen says that we have beaten 38 games in 2024 and 485 since we started doing this in 2020. Those numbers are lies! We've now beaten 39 games in 2024 and 486 since we started doing this. Let's go. Okay, let's talk about some of the pros and cons of Howard? God, you just played this game for 10 hours, Nick. Come on. Harold Halibut. Let's talk about some of the pros and cons. And there are many of both. So, first of all, first and absolutely foremost, the by far best thing about this game, and the only thing that really makes it notable, is the art style. The stop motion style, almost Thunderbird's puppet kind of animation, or like Team America if you want to be 21st century about it, kind of animation almost, is something that we've seen in film many, many times before, but we have never really seen it, as far as I know, in a video game. And I don't know how long it took to make this game. I don't know exactly what the process was. It says they keep calling it a handmade game. That can't be entirely true, but I'm curious to know how true it is. But regardless, this must have been, just from a directorial standpoint, a Herculean effort to put something like this together. And the value of that is not lost on me. If nothing else about this game were valuable at all, this game has a place in the video game zeitgeist just for the way it looks. That by itself is enough to give it value. Enough value to play. Enough value to spend my time on, I think. At least sometime. We'll get to that in a second. So that's by far and away the most important positive thing about this game, is that it is gorgeous. It doesn't look like a video game at all. It looks like you are playing a stop motion clay animation game. And when you get a good close look at some of the faces and stuff, you can see the textures in their hair and on their skin and on their clothes, and it is sublime. That part of the game is incredible. It really is. And I imagine it took a long time to make this game. And I appreciate the effort that it took to pull that look off. That is really something. Really? Secondly, and by far distant second, but also good, was the story. I mean, this is a narrative game, if you want to call it. It's not quite visual novel, and it's not quite walking sim. As far as what kind of game this is, it's got some walking. It's not really a video gamey game. It doesn't even really have many mini games or anything like that. But the narrative drives it, and the narrative, while maybe not perfect, because it's got some big, long, slow points in the middle and in the beginning, is ultimately very satisfying, especially toward the end. This game threw a lot at me in the story that I was like, why are we spending time on this? This is dumb. Why are we dealing with this? And then by the end, or during certain parts in the middle, I would be like, oh, okay, that's why we spent some time on this. That makes sense. The game ties up, especially at the end, it ties up very nicely. It's the story is good, it's well written, it's well voiced all the way through. Well, it's definitely well voiced. We'll talk a little bit more. The writing's not bad. We'll talk about that more in a moment. But it's definitely well voiced, and it is the way that it resolves is very satisfying, and it's an interesting story to a degree, but definitely the way that it ends is it's a good ending. It's a nice ending. I'm not necessarily saying it's a good ending, but it is a satisfying ending the way that it ends. You know. Those are the two main things that really stood out as far as what makes this game good. There were some things that were middling. I think the writing had moments where it was very good and moments where it wasn't that good at all. Some of the writing, I feel like it was missing a tone of like cleverness, or it could have been funnier. I mean, this game is quirky. That's the best way to describe it. It is a quirky game full of quirky characters. It's all quirks. And that's fine. And the game is very effective at being quirky. Being weird and abnormal and just outside of the box, out of the mold. Quirky. But a lot of times with quirky comes hand in hand with like whimsical, funny, sharp, witty. There was some of that, but there was also a lot of dialogue where it's just they're just getting the plot out, kind of. And the characters, none of the characters in the game seem particularly intelligent. None of them, especially the main character. I recognize that that's part of the point, but the game is just kind of full of just kind of regular people. There are plenty of intelligent people. There's like scientists or whatever, but they're not like clever. You know, they're not really. Some of the characters just aren't that interesting. Some of the main characters, they're just not very interesting. They're just very normal. You know. So I think some of the writing kind of I think it could have been better. It's not bad, but I think it could have been better. I think that's the main thing as far as like what was kind of middle ground. There were some things about this game that I think were objectively bad. 1.51% of people have gotten this far. Awesome. I think there were some things about this game that were objectively bad. Well, let's get the basic one out of the way. The game crashed 3 times on me, and one of those times I lost about 20 minutes of progress. I'm playing this at launch. That kind of thing happens. And I always give a game a pass for the first one, but it happened 2 more times. So they need to address the crashes. That was disappointing and jarring and immersion breaking. But I'm not going to hold that too much against them. Games crash sometimes, especially new ones. They'll probably patch it, or if they don't, it's not the end of the world, right? The game has a fairly generous autosave system, so I only lost progress 1 time, and it wasn't the end of the world. Another thing about this game that I think could be better, and this is kind of at the core of why I don't love this game as a whole, and that is the pacing. The pacing is so slow. This game is a slow burn. It is a very slow game, and the fact that there were like 15% of people, and I played it 4 days after it came out, 15% of people made it. 15% of people that started this game made it through Chapter 1. That's not great. And the reason is that Chapter 1 is very slow. It takes 3 hours for this game to really get going. And, 2 hours. Let's say 2 hours for the game to even... Well, it takes about 2 hours for the game to even really start for you to really start understanding what the game is even about. And it takes another hour after that for things to actually start to move. It really takes its time. This game took me, I think, about 8 hours. That's a guess, but I think it took me about 8 hours to beat it. So a little bit shorter than the how long to beat time. I did nothing but main story only. There is a lot of side content in this game, it seems, which is great. I don't have a problem with that. Side content is fine. But this game is too long, is what I'm getting at. This game, for the kind of game that it is, 8 hours is too long. How long to beat says 10. I beat it in only 8. That is too long for a game, for a narrative adventure like this, where there's no RPG gear elements, and that's fine. I've played a lot of games that I've really enjoyed that don't have any RPG elements or inventory screens or whatever. There's no inventory. There's I think 3 mini games in the whole thing, and they're all brain dead easy and take about 10 seconds. They're short and basic enough that you can't even really call them puzzles or whatever. They're just something to do for a second. Outside of those few times that all add up to maybe a minute and a half total in the whole game, outside of that, all you are doing in this game is talking and getting the story, or you are walking from one place to another doing errands. That is really most of what you are doing in this game. Is like you go and find someone, you have a conversation, some of the plot comes out, and then they say, okay, now you need to go to this place to meet this person. And you go, and it takes 2 or 3 minutes to get there, and then you have a conversation with that person. And that is the whole game. That is the whole game. So 60% of the time I was playing this game, well, not quite that much. 60% of the time I was playing this game was probably just dialogue. Just story. The other 40% was just walking from one place to another. Here, I think, is the core issue of what's wrong with this game. It should have been a film. Now, I recognize that if you made this into a film, the idea of the way that it looks loses some of its novelty, because there have been lots of films that have looked like this. But that being said, if it wants to stand on its own 2 legs just based on the story and the writing and the voice acting and all that stuff, it shouldn't matter, right? If I had watched this as a movie and it were 2 hours long and all of the bullshit was cut out, all of the walking and blah blah blah, and it was just the story, I think I would have quite enjoyed this game as a film, just if it were a movie. I think I would have really enjoyed it. I think I would have said, people should watch this movie. It's really cool. It's got a great story. The art direction's interesting. It's very cool. It's a very quirky movie, and I would have liked it fine. I would have quite enjoyed it. As a game, if you're going to make a game like this, you better cut it down to like 5 hours max. For a game like this, if all it is narrative, nobody. Let me posit this to you. If there's if the idea of this being a 2-hour movie sounds really cool to me. It sounds like it'd be a really cool, interesting movie, very quirky, very very unique, very outside of the box. That would have been cool. And then, but if when somebody said, okay, but how about instead it's 8 hours long? Suddenly, I am not interested in watching that movie. Right? And that is what I felt with this. It felt like I watched an 8-hour movie that didn't... No movie has enough plot to carry you 8 hours. Maybe the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You know, there's like very few exceptions, but like outside of something that's like that epic and crazy and insane, this game doesn't approach anything that interesting. So, for this is basically an 8-hour movie, and it's just too long. It's just, there's a bunch of filler. There's a bunch of time that you're just walking from one place to another, and it is boring. It is so boring. There's not even anything you can really do on the way. You cannot be good at this game or bad at it. And again, that's another thing that's indicative of narrative, visual novels and walking sims and narrative adventures, and all that's fine. And I've played several of those games, and I've liked a few of them, but they're all like somewhere from an hour and a half to 4 hours long usually. And some of those even seem like they're a little too long. So this game is way too long. They need to cut. If I could wave a magic wand and make this game better in my eyes, I would cut about 60% out of it. All the walking. And just make it a visual novel. Why do I have to make it to where I have to walk everywhere and use the tube system? It's not fun. There's nothing engaging in it. I realize that developers want you to like immerse yourself in this world and live in it, and that's fine for a little while, but nobody wants to do that for 10 hours, 8 hours, if that's all that there is. You need some kind of gameplay loop. This game has no gameplay loop. It's just narrative and walking. That's it. That's all it is. So that's my main gripe. It just needed to be a movie, or it needed to be a 3-hour game. And 8 hours is way too long for something like this. Aside from that, we talked about the crashes. That's really it. That's really it. I thought, all the stuff with the direction and the cinematography, and I do appreciate how much effort it must have taken to make this thing, but I just think it would have paid off more from a gamer's perspective if it were much shorter, or from a moviegoer's perspective if it were a film. I think this would make a really good film. It's a shame that it's just so boring. This game is so boring. So it's not going to rank well because of that. I mean, there are some things about it that give it flavor and give it value, but at the end of the day, it's a boring game. You get 5 minutes of something interesting and then an hour and a half of fucking like I am falling asleep in my chair gameplay. So, all right. But ultimately, it was on Game Pass, so it was worth the money. I don't think it was quite worth the time. I think it was worth about half of the time I spent on it. But I did enjoy some parts of it, and I do appreciate the effort that it must have taken to put something like this together. So, all right, that's it. We have one more order of business. Harold Halibut, thank you for existing. Thank you for allowing us to play you. I do appreciate how much insane effort must have gone into this game. But we are now going to delete you from our console and never play you again. Bye! Bye, Harold. Thank you. Appreciate you. Okay, that's it for Harold Halibut. Just brief roadmap for the next few days in case you're interested. Today is April 22nd, 2024. Tomorrow, Tales of Kanzera comes out. That'll be fun. I believe it's a Metroidvania kind of a game from an indie developer. It seems cool. It's backed by EA, so it's going to have a little bit of money behind it. Seems definitely like more of a video gaming experience, so I'm looking forward to that. If I have time, I might try and, because that game doesn't come out for another 24 hours, I might try and play Kirby's Pinball Land between now and then, because it's super short. I might not. Just depends on how much time I have. But either way, eventually we'll get to Tales of Kanzera. And then right after that, we're going to be playing another Crab's Treasure, which is also on Game Pass. That comes out on the 25th, so 2 days after this one. So we'll probably be playing this one when another Crab's Treasure comes out, and we'll play another Crab's Treasure whenever we beat this. I don't know how long this game is. And then after that, I think we're going to play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Playing those in order, and I need to get them done before 6 comes out. So, San Andreas is the next on the list. We're going to have a good deal of time before Indica comes out on May 8th, so that should give us plenty of time. I need to play some of those longer games when I have the time to do so. And then after that, I'm not sure. We'll have Indica, Animal Well, Read Only Memories, Neurodiver, and then Senua's Saga comes out on May 21st. Well, there's some good stuff coming out in May. All right, that's it. If you're still here and you watched the whole video, or even if you watched the very end, thank you. I appreciate you. It means a lot to me. I really just make these because I enjoy the recording and documenting and cataloging factor of it, but I do appreciate it when occasionally people do seem to enjoy them from time to time. So thank you if that person is you. I will see you on the next one, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.